Hey everybody, Matthew Lundeen here for the Critical Spectrum podcast. This is episode 26 that you're about to hear. Now, a little funny thing happened when we were creating this new episode. I got the audio from Colin, and then I was surprised when the audio was only about 58 minutes, which was about the length of the first half, and so I thought, oh my god, did we only get the first half of the show? Turns out I was wrong. We only got the second half of the show, which was, funnily enough, exactly what the show was originally going to be, which was a review of Black Widow and a review of Loki, a Marvel double feature of sorts. But the reason this is so sad is because the first half of the show, we kind of winged it. It was an impromptu discussion about the previous decade of video games and what we consider to be the most definitive game or games of the decade. And it was very impromptu, as I said, because, you know, sometimes I feel like when, you know, there's stuff going on and maybe our head's not totally in the game, it's not good for us to like really force ourselves into particular topics. Sometimes it's good to just kind of wing it and go into these discussions, you know, with a little bit of alcohol in our systems and just have fun, because that's really what this whole podcast is about. But yeah, it was strange. We somehow lost the first half of the show, so maybe we'll do kind of an abridged version of that discussion at a later point, but we don't really want to force it. If we manage to somehow salvage the audio, I'll probably release it at a later time. But for now, I'm going to try to find some point in this next hour to put an ad break. And I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening, guys. Okay, Florence Pugh, everyone. You know, I've only seen her.
It sounded like she was on the podcast. Florence Pugh, everyone.
Show us the frown.
Show us the frown.
Do the thing.
Do the
thing. Florence Pugh, I've only seen her in Black Widow, but it's like every time I've heard of her and seen clips of her and other stuff, I'm always like, oh man, you know, she's so neat. She's just so neat.
You know, Black Widow, we watched it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, what's his face? Hopper, the guy who played Hopper in Stranger Things.
David Harbour?
What?
Harbour.
Harbour and Florence Pugh really stole the show.
They completely, which is kind of sad.
You know, like Scarlett Johansson's good, but at the same time, those two really stole the show, you know?
And which is funny because realistically, I feel like they purposely didn't use Red Guardian because it was a Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
He was very underutilized, I feel like, in a main chunk of the movie, besides just obviously as more of like a comedic element.
Sure.
But it's weird because I feel like he was one of the best parts, and fucking Yelena was definitely the best part of the
yeah.
for me.
Mm-hmm. I think that there's a lot of times where they will get certain talent in these Marvel movies where it's like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch, he's like a really, really great actor. Or they'll get, I'm trying to think of another example that was like a big, like, whoa, like moment. Michael B. Jordan was incredible. As
Killmonger?
As
he was
Killmonger.
better than I feel really bad for not remembering.
Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman.
I mean,
he was better than that.
I mean, granted, well, he had a far more pronounced character arc, and as a hero, Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa was a bit more. It was more of a diffused, more subdued performance, which I still think that as the hero of that kind of story, it was. I thought he did a good job.
Yeah,
but I mean, again, it's like Michael B. Jordan just did such an incredible job. So I really think that when they have talent of a certain caliber, Marvel really doesn't waste that talent, I feel like.
Yeah.
And Florence Pugh, I think, is just like that whole scene at the dinner table. Like, I was getting emotional watching that just because like the way that she like.
That was honestly, I think, one of the most emotional parts of the entire movie.
Yeah, I think that's one of my new like favorite emotional moments in the MCU. Like we talked about, like in one of the early episodes, we were talking about big emotional moments and like talking about like the scene from the end of Winter Soldier, or end of Civil War and stuff like that, or that scene in Ant-Man where like what's Evangeline Lilly's Hope was being told about like what happened to her mother, and just like Evangeline Lilly fucking killed it in that role, and I really think Florence Pugh like was you're right, she was the best part, and I think it's because they want to set her up to be the next Black Widow.
Oh yeah,
and
it's kind of sad because I feel like she's gonna be a way better Black Widow. That might just be down to writing.
Man, I gotta agree with you on that one, though.
It might just be down to writing. That could be part of it, because her character was just like beautifully written. I feel like
Scarlett Johansson on Black Widow. It's like she does a good job, but at the same time, I feel like Scarlett Johansson's she's very much done with the role in the end, like quite literally in the end.
Well, I mean, it definitely it is very clearly a role that meant a lot to her. But I do think that her character suffered from something that is evident in some of my favorite characters in the MCU, where they took risks on certain characters, tried to make them more complex and interesting.
Yeah.
But certain decisions, certain plot lines, I felt were abandoned. Like I love Black Widow. I love Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. Like, she was my favorite part of Iron Man 2 growing up.
Yeah.
And then she was one of the most complex characters in the first two Avengers films. And she was pretty much like Winter Soldier is a Captain America movie, but it may as well be Captain America and Black Widow.
Yeah.
And I think that the best portrayal Scarlett Johansson is given as Black Widow was Winter Soldier, in terms of the way they wrote her, in terms of her performance and being as sassy as she was, the comedic timing, everything about her that was her at her absolute peak. And Age of Ultron, they introduced, they told about, her backstory and, the things that happened to her. Her romance with Bruce Banner was one of my favorite things. And they abandon it. And I think a part of it has to do with the way that the MCU stands can sometimes disregard characters of a certain low power level.
Right.
And also because there was controversy surrounding Scarlett Johansson within the last couple of years. I mean, between the whole her being cast as Motoko Kusanagi and Ghost in the Shell, which was a whole thing that I was just so tired of, that whole argument. And then it happened again, she had to deal with that whole controversy, and then there was the controversy of her being cast as a trans woman, which then I understand people wanting that not to happen, but from her perspective, I can see her being like, oh no, not again, not another casting controversy. Right. So I think there was just so many people, there was enough of kind of like a backlash against her that I feel like people started to not, both on the production end and in the fandom end, stopped giving Black Widow a chance as a character.
Right. Well,
started getting pushed to the sidelines.
I felt like the fact that even though that this was like her movie, I felt that she was very flat, She was kind of just there in a way.
Well, it's weird because I feel like she really didn't have an arc.
No, she didn't.
There wasn't much character development besides thinking I guess she went from being like, I have no family to now I have a family kind of thing. Sure. I guess that was her arc.
But you don't see that later.
I feel like it's lesser compared to the other ones.
I mean, I think a lot of her arc has to do with trying to atone for, finally, well, it's like, there's the idea that it was her I'm going to stop running away from my past deeds, but that was her arc in Winter Soldier.
That's what I'm saying.
In Winter Soldier, she ends the movie basically like, yeah, I'll leak the information about everything I've ever done and put myself on the line like that. Here, they address something that hasn't been addressed since that scene with Loki in Avengers 1, where he name-dropped Dreykov's daughter, and then you see her face in shock and terror as she realizes, oh shit, how much did Barton tell tell him.
Mhm.
And you realize, like, again, like, oh man, this really is like some like CIA shit of her having to do awful things to like get a chance at redemption by
Right.
becoming a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I think a lot of it was about her. No, I mean we kind of reset. It's her trying to make amends because the whole Taskmaster story was you mentioned that was your least favorite part of the film.
I like Taskmaster.
No, I like Taskmaster.
I
Don't get
do
me
too.
wrong. I love the character Taskmaster. I even liked her in the movie. Now, what I didn't like is how they tied it into the whole Dreykov thing.
Sure.
Is in the comics, at least from what I know of Taskmaster, it's basically, I mean, I personally don't care that it went from a guy to a girl.
Mhm.
That's not what I have a
I
problem.
don't give a shit about that.
I really don't fucking care. If anything, I'm more upset that instead of being like a really cool mercenary woman, like how he is in the comics, they kind of made it more like a, I don't know, I just
A puppet.
like a puppet, right? Like they made it more of like a you're not really, controlling yourself. Like you're more of like, emotionally tied into it. Whereas from what I know about Taskmaster, it's more of like, what the fuck's the next job? I don't care. Give me the money kind of thing. And I feel like that's what I was expecting from it.
He's like a Deadshot kind of character.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, fuck it. Like, he's like, I don't care. I'll do good stuff for the money. He was like, the price is right, but also I'll do the worst shit I can do for the money if the price is right as well. So I feel like they didn't show me the Taskmaster I was expecting.
I had a feeling, I had a theory about this because I was thinking about how this could have come about. I have a theory that Taskmaster wasn't originally in the script. That they probably that when they were writing the story, they were like, okay, this is kind of two stories. It's themes of redemption and family and that kind of stuff. But it's also in keeping in theme with redemption. She did something terrible to Dreykov's daughter in order to try and kill Dreykov, and so now you have this. You have a nemesis character, this mysterious figure, who comes to blows with Black Widow, and I feel like they should have shown up more, kind of like Winter Soldier is an example of a nemesis character, where like they show up just enough that by the end, taking into account their repeated appearances and then the reveal of who they are, it all felt very satisfying.
Right.
I think they must have just written them as random masked like nemesis, like who are they? And then they were like, oh, but shouldn't we make them a character from the comics? They figured Taskmaster, because Taskmaster really is tailor-made for the MCU, because when MCU makes a standalone film, a lot of times an easy way to give the hero a villain is to make the villain a mirror image of the person they're fighting.
Right.
Like take Iron Man versus Ironmonger, or Black Panther versus Killmonger. Oh man, two mongers. Or you'll have Doctor Strange fight a different someone who's also like kind of like Doctor Strange and a sorcerer. So you give them someone who is the opposite of themselves but similar, and
same but different.
Yeah, same but different. And suddenly you've got a good villain. And I think they just applied it to the Ron character.
I feel like I can agree with it. Honestly, I feel like the more I think about it, the more you're explaining to, it does make me feel like they were just kind of shoehorned in. Like they were just kind of like, who the fuck do we need? Who do we need? Taskmaster? Let's get him. I feel like what they should have done is they should have took the whole, they could have kept the whole Antonia, little girl being like the main nemesis, but they could have just made her like one of the top Black Widows or some shit, or one of the top.
Give her a
widows
cool looking mask,
right? And just be like, oh, one of my top widows, and then instead of saying like, oh, you give me my greatest weapon in that, because realistically, I feel like Taskmaster really isn't his greatest weapon. His greatest weapon is the fact he has fucking mind control. So I feel like they should have tied her more into the mind control theme if they were trying to do that.
But does he have mind control? I thought he just had a photographic memory.
No, I'm talking about the mind control. The
Dreykov had used in the movie. Okay,
I'm feeling like that is his greatest weapon. He's like, you give me my greatest weapon, and like Taskmaster are like, nah.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way,
realistically, you're fucking controlling the entire world, not from Taskmaster, probably from this chemical you're using. You know,
Also,
I feel like that's your greatest weapon. Make that the focus.
shout out to Ray Winston who played Dreykov, and also who I believe he was the guy who played Stryker in X-Men 2.
Oh, did he?
I think so.
Oh,
he looks a bit different. He's gotten older, but it's just funny that once again, and I think he did a pretty good job for being this very like disgusting.
I think he did pretty good.
No, he did good.
Yeah, I think he did good. The only thing,
Colin.
God. One of my pet peeves about this movie was that Ray Garden's like telling all these stories about like, oh, I met fighting Captain America, and like on one hand you could take that as him boasting in prison. Then he later asked Natasha, "Oh, did Captain America ever mention me?"
Exactly. You know what that brings into the theories, because if you think about it, in Loki, which we're going to talk about as well,
sure,
they said going back in time was part of the timeline. So they're saying this is one continuous stream.
Sure.
Steve goes back in time. He's undercover. Nobody knows he's there. Oh. So they're thinking, what if he's still trying to do some other things that the Avengers never got to do?
So you're saying like it's part he fights Scarlet Guardian in the timeline where he Red Guardian where he marries Peggy.
Correct.
Is what you're saying.
That's what people are thinking.
Well, I didn't even think it was that. I figured, but I guess he does. Doesn't he name drop Rogers though? Does he?
I don't know if he does.
Because I was thinking, what if he fought against Isaiah?
I thought about that, but the reason I feel like it's not that is because Steve Rogers is his, like, people know Captain America is Steve Rogers.
Right.
So I'd be like, there's no way he could confuse them in that way.
That's true.
I mean, although he was in prison, so who knows? Maybe he doesn't realize the name.
Too much vodka.
Yeah, too much vodka. But I feel like I feel like that would make sense because, again, they already said in Loki it's a continuous timeline. So technically, him going back and living all through it, technically he lived all through that during all of the movies.
Right, yeah.
So I feel like, it just makes sense.
It's true.
I feel like it makes sense that way.
But then wouldn't that totally negate Isaiah's entire story?
No, I don't think so.
Not really. I mean, the whole point of his story was already that it was kind of like history being erased.
Plus, remember, the Red Guardian was talking about how it happened in the 80s or like mid 80s.
Right.
Isaiah said he was in jail for 30 years.
Right.
So
Isaiah
that would have
like
been during that
60s,
time.
You're saying, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I still feel like that wouldn't really negate too much.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because I don't think it would have been something that like would have been like America put him out there or something like that.
I want
like,
a series with Isaiah during the Vietnam /
that'd be cool.
It'd be depressing as hell, though. I feel like they'd have to give that the same treatment that it looks like they're giving to like Moon Knight, because that looks like it's going to be kind of like R-rated.
Yes, good.
Because there was the BTS stuff of like Oscar Isaac's doing like fight training with like knives and stuff, and it was like, yeah, I'm hoping
Isaac.
for the best.
What a good actor!
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for
that new Dune trailer. Looks pretty nice with him in it.
Every time you say Dune, I think of Doom, and I'm like, what? But
the fight scenes in this movie were pretty good.
The best fight scene, in my opinion, the apartment.
Yeah, the apartment fight scene. You saw that in a theater. What were the reactions like to that?
Honestly, no reactions really, but there was clapping at the end of the movie.
Nice.
Like the whole theater started clapping, and I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "I forgot. I'm in a Marvel movie."
That was nice.
Yeah, it's not like everybody was going, "Whoa!" Like it was very more of like everybody was quiet and just absorbing the movie. Honestly,
yeah.
But at the end of it, that's when people were like, "Yeah, Dark Avengers."
Well, because like I rewatch clips occasionally of like reactions to like I was watching a clip of like everyone passed around the clip of the theater reactions to Endgame.
Yeah.
But I saw a clip that just like annoyed the fuck out of me, which was a reaction to the post credits for Captain Marvel when it shows the stuff after Infinity War, and I was just thinking like, well, thank God for the people in the audience who weren't howling like hyenas because there were closed captions, and I was like, thank God for the people who must have been annoyed, because I would have been so fucking furious if I couldn't hear the dialogue. Yeah, honestly, I get that Marvel movies are great and all, but just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, true that. Let's listen.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad I saw Endgame in Japan. Not a peep.
Actually, I didn't have a peep. It was actually no, I lied. There were some like cheering and stuff, but it wasn't like like they were respective cheering. Like it was cheering like when like dope ass scenes happen, but like when it's like talking started happening, they were like quiet.
It was. It was either Infinity War or Endgame, but the guy sitting next to me would laugh at the slightest joke. It wasn't even a laugh. It wasn't even like an intended joke.
It was in Infinity War. I remember you telling me.
Yeah.
about
Okay.
that.
Well. Oh my god. I want to punch this guy.
I remember you telling me about that. You're like I love the movie besides the motherfucker next to me that kept making the stupidest like.
He kept laughing at like things that weren't even meant to be as jokes, and he repeated exactly what was said like 2 seconds beforehand.
Oh my god!
He was like, "Oh, he said this." Huh?
I remember, and yeah, it's like I'm fine with some cheering. Like I remember watching Promare in theater, and I like back in America when I saw it. I remember, there'd be cheering during like after the Deus Ex Machina joke, or there'd be like cheering after the kiss. But like there would be, like it's just my improv teacher once told me that like when it comes to like doing anything in front of an audience that's going to get a huge reaction, there's something called like laugh mountain. You say the joke, you got to let them get over the peak and down. You got to let them get over the mountain before you start talking again, because otherwise they're gonna miss shit. And I feel like they have to consider that now when they edit these films.
Yeah.
But also like the audience has to know when to shut the fuck up.
True that. But yeah, I will say I do feel like Kevin Feige was correct when he said that they're still tailoring the movies for the theater, because I feel like this movie was better in the theater. I still enjoyed it at home. I watched it twice.
I would like to see it in theater. Now I mean, I'm probably going to catch like maybe like a cheap showing of it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it'll eventually, hopefully, go to LaGrange Theater.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Is that open again?
I have no idea, but I hope so.
I hope so.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I feel like the biggest thing that was really a killer for the movie for me, besides Taskmaster, again, that was the only other really big disappointment, was I feel like I felt the effects of the pandemic on the last half of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, like
the
CGI
CGI
some of the
and
CGI
stuff like
was
that.
bad.
Just like I was like, there's just some scenes where you see it, like some of it just looked like Tomb Raider.
It felt very Phase 1 Marvel.
Yes, but not even that. Like I'm just talking about like just the CGI, just purely CGI. At what I'm talking about for right now is just like where they were going from, like her swinging in. I just remember specifically when she falls out and slides and it grabs the rail and swings back inside. Like I remember her swinging, and I'm thinking like, wow, that looks like something from fucking Tomb Raider. And then she goes in, and it's such like the momentum she had going in, and then switching to her like landing, and it was just like her just like lightly like hitting the ground. I was just like, wow, that was kind of poorly done. Just stuff like that. That's like. Really overall, watching it once, I don't think really gonna notice too much. Besides Florence Pugh when she first fucking hits the helicopter and she flies off, that was like one of the worst.
That was one of the worst shots.
One of the worst shots.
When she landed on the ground, her and Taskmaster, there was a moment where she like jumped on his back that was so obviously all CGI.
That's what I'm saying. I was like,
it was way
like
too
fucking
Kingdom
Tomb Raider.
Hearts in terms of the way it was animated.
Yes. Well, I only say Tomb Raider because her hair and everything reminds me of Lara Croft when it's like floating around in CGI. But yeah, like totally like that. Even when they landed and Taskmaster landed on the ground, I was like, I can totally 100% tell that was CGI. Like, I don't know if it's just because it was going through multiple iterations. I don't know if it's because it was that mixed with COVID and, everything going on. Yeah. It's really sad because I feel like this is like one of the first, at least. I guess not really the first and more we'll talk about, but more of the female hero movie we were expecting from the entire MCU, because we were expecting a Black Widow movie eventually.
Yeah.
And the fact that this was the movie that we got, which don't get me wrong, again, I enjoy the movie overall, but the fact that I feel like felt not really sidelined, but at least not up to par to what I expected compared to the rest of the characters, but also the movie overall kind of just suffered some iffy CGI and stuff like that, made it really kind of sad.
This movie definitely should have come out sooner. It should have come out like a year after Civil War.
Should have came out like the day that they said it was going to come out.
But especially it should have come out way before Endgame.
2020, I think early 2020.
It absolutely should have come out before Infinity War and should have come out after Civil War.
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, obviously they would just have to take away the post-credits.
And that's not a failing on the film in my eyes. That's a failing on the studio because, honestly, she was one of the biggest characters. She was one of the original members of the Avengers, and she deserved her own movie. And
her and Tony were the ones who had the biggest sacrifice in the end of the movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
The franchise,
and that's the thing. Like, apart from that mid-credits scene, I still don't think she's really gotten the like send-off she deserves.
Yeah,
I really don't think. I mean,
maybe that's what Hawkeye is going to be, if that's what they're doing with Yelena.
Maybe.
But I just I don't know. I just find it sad that she's still like she got kind of like the lowest end of the
she did.
You know, she got kind of through the short straw.
And again, that's just something with. I feel like it had to happen with the storytelling and how they were doing it, but I feel like because of that, again, it would be a lot bigger of like a oh my god, oh no, if it wasn't for Tony. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because once that happened to Tony, everybody's like, oh fuck, Black Widow, oh my god, Tony Stark. You know, that's basically what happened.
You know, I just remembered a really funny thing that I saw. It was an image from Tony Stark's funeral. It was Bucky, Sam, and Wanda all standing next to each other. And it was someone with that picture and said they really should have unionized. And they were saying because they were just, and then I think it was side by side with like Peter Parker and like his new like sick like jacket, his new sick suit and his like super plane, and then it's like, oh, here's, you know, Sam like can't get a loan on his like to save his like boat.
Yeah.
And like and Bucky's in a shitty apartment.
Yeah, right.
Wanda's like destroying the world.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just like, I'm gonna give all my money to this kid. Fuck all y'all.
I mean, I was also thinking back to me when you said that if you think about Team Iron Man, the only one that's left that's like unscathed is Peter.
Yeah.
Peter's the only one that's been unscathed.
Good point.
That's
Really
true.
should've
The
gone
only other
Captain
one that's still
America.
alive, at least, is War Machine.
Yeah.
He's the only other one.
Was
as far
Wanda
as I know.
not on Iron Man? No.
Yeah, because oh my god, you're right. Everyone's dead.
The only other one who's not is War Machine.
but also
But
like,
he got paralyzed.
Yeah.
but we don't,
Still terrible.
and we don't know what the in-universe explanation is. Good, like what they're going to do with Black Panther. So
That's a good point.
but I mean, again, it's like they said they don't want to recast him. Personally, I think John David Washington could do a pretty good job.
You know,
but
I feel like I understand not recasting him in the beginning. Like, you know, like, yeah, of
Give
course
it
you're not
time.
just gonna, you know,
Yeah.
after dad just be like immediately like, well, who's gonna be next?
yeah, they need to give it time.
I
but
think
do
they should.
at a certain
If anything,
point-
I feel like they should have pushed back Black Panther,
Mhm.
and I think they should be like, hey, you know, eventually we're gonna recast him, but you know, it's just gonna be something we're not looking forward to
Yeah.
doing right
No,
now.
no,
Right.
absolutely.
I just feel like doing that and just, I feel like, I mean, I don't know Chadwick Boseman personally, but I feel like he wouldn't have just wanted that character to die with him.
Right.
I feel like he would have wanted somebody else to, or that character to live on in some form.
I
You
don't know.
sounded
I feel like Lupita Nyong'o could do a pretty damn good job.
I think she could.
That could
I
be, yeah.
I personally just really don't want Shuri to become Black Panther.
Oh no, I don't want her.
I really just
because the actress is an anti-vaxxer.
is she?
Yeah,
I think she posted something,
apparently.
and then I think Don Cheadle was like, "Bye."
No, I didn't know that. Not even that. It's just I feel like not only is her character in Black Panther just not ready for
She's
it.
very much her own thing.
Yeah, she's not
So-
ready for it. She's I don't know. And not only that, but the actress herself looks like she's really doesn't want that.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned Lupita, and hey, she's awesome, and I think that would be a better use of her character because I'll be honest, I found Lupita Nyong'o kind of dull in Black Panther,
Yeah.
which is sad to say because like, oh, it's fucking Lupita.
She was kind of sidelined by other Royal Guard lady. I can't
Oh,
remember her name.
Koye, yeah,
Koye.
she was great, and honestly, I would love it if she became the new Black Panther.
I could see that too.
But I think if they again, when they have really good actresses and actors, they tend more often than not to not waste them. If they give Lupita the mantle, mwah.
You know what they kind of fucked though?
What?
Do you remember what happened in Black Panther? What happened after Killmonger got the powers of Black Panther?
Yeah, he destroyed all the flowers.
He destroyed all the powers.
Well, they
Oh,
did.
fuck,
They did.
that's
What
right.
here's the thing,
They
they
saved
salvaged
one,
one,
And they used it
for him.
for him.
Shit,
technically-
that's right.
I mean, unless they had a backup, or they're going to be like, we found
or
some
they
seeds.
have more seeds from that flower.
Yeah,
maybe.
but it made it sound like when he asked, they were like, "Yeah, this is it," and then he was like, "Okay, we'll burn it all."
Yeah,
So it's
you're
like,
right.
I mean, again, there's easy right arounds, but I feel like that's just like fucked.
Right.
I mean, obviously, it's easier to be like, "Oh, we found some seeds," or "He didn't burn it all," but I don't know. I just feel like they kind of fucked themselves up.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to basically
be
be like, there's going to be no other Black Panthers. That's like what their kind of goal
They're probably
was,
going to pull the seed angle on that one.
Either that or, oh, dude, you know what?
What?
What if they do... So it technically wouldn't be a recast.
Mm-hmm.
How so?
But it would be a different way of getting a Black Panther that's still technically kind of like T'Challa.
Sure.
Multiverse.
Sure.
Multiverse. I was going to say...
They pull a different Black Panther from a universe.
Right.
This is dangerous because in comics, people come back to life all the time.
Killmonger?
But if they brought Killmonger, and if they tried to...
so fucking happy.
If they tried to do like that was his redemption arc.
I mean, he kind of already had... He was already kind of slightly redeemed by the end of Black Panther.
That's true. But
they kind of understood each other.
But to fully really sink it in and
right.
and have him take on that responsibility and have to fight against like the stigma against him.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, he didn't really do anything terrible in that movie. Like nothing that like was already that can't already be like that wasn't undone. You know, besides killing Ulysses Claw, I feel like he didn't really do anything else awful. Like,
well, he did. Well, I mean, he did kill Black Panther's uncle, Forrest Whitaker.
Oh,
I was to say, what's his face?
Well, that wasn't his uncle. That was just his like
friend.
Yeah, his friend.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I get that. But even then, like. In the eyes of the audience, at least, I feel like he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, that's fair. And then that,
like,
and all the more reason
for time to like love him anyway.
And all the more reason for there to be a redemption arc. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. So.
But anyway, Black Panther was cool. Black Widow was cool.
Yeah,
like,
both were cool.
Yeah, both were cool.
But yeah, I mean,
both had kind of iffy CG at the end.
Yeah,
ultimately,
that's true. Actually,
good connection. Yeah,
and both were pretty much spy films.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
True that.
You know, I recently read and watched a video as well. David Hayter, the voice of Solid Snake, he's also a screenwriter. He wrote X-Men 2, amongst other superhero films from the pre-MCU days. He wrote a script for a Black Widow movie way back in, like, that was supposed to come out in, like, 2007. Unfortunately, there were a bunch of other female-led action films that just completely bombed. Aeon Flux, Ultraviolet... and I think there was the terrible Blood Rain movie. So
I've heard of that. Yeah.
But basically, but because you know the Blood Rain game, right? Well, the Blood Rain was a video game, and then it got adapted into a shitty film, and all those movies bombed. And so the studios basically told David Hayter, "It's like, listen, it's just it's not a good time to take a risk on like a female-led action film right now."
Right.
So. The project had to be, but apparently it was going to be like reading the script. It's like because you can read the whole script online. Mm-hmm. It's like one of the like fourth or fifth drafts of the script. Tons of expletives. She actually has the super serum in that film. Oh. She's like dodging bullets and shit.
Does she? Is that in the comics?
Apparently, in the comics, at some point, she does get the super serum.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You know, and that's another thing why I feel sad about Taskmaster is because that's actually how he gets his powers. As I believe he's like raiding some Hydra base or something like that, and ends up getting like an experimental super soldier serum injected, and then he gets that photographic.
I thought he was just born with that photographic.
No, at least not. That's not what I was reading about it. Which is even cooler because his fucking backstory, or at least his story that what happens is that I think it's photographic reflexes, whatever the fuck they call it. It's something with his brain, just how it like takes in information, but what happens is he takes in so much information that his brain has to throw out other information. And eventually, because he keeps learning new like stuff, in the comics, he actually ends up forgetting about his family, and he goes on an arc about trying to remember his family and get them back. So it's like, I would have been kind of cool to see that.
Oh man, that's like RoboCop.
Kind of, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like that'd be kind of cool. But point is, I liked it.
Do you want to give a rating for Black Widow?
7.
You know, yeah, I think I'm on a 7. Maybe an 8.
That's a good point. 7.5. 7.5.
I'd probably give it an 8 just because I do love admittedly I do love the more espionage centric Marvel films. Also, the fight choreography was great. Also, another big win for me, the music by Lauren Balfe, especially during that intro. I loved how the intro felt long. It was really like the whole seeing them as a family. But the music while they're like on the tarmac with the plane trying to lift off.
That's cool.
Dude, that was great. Also, Rachel Weisz is like okay.
I thought she was good in it.
She was good, but it's another thing where like she was overshadowed by the Florence Pugh and David Harbour. But I will say, I forgot to mention this. Typically MCU they like to inject a lot of humor, and sometimes there's a criticism that emotional moments aren't held on long enough before there's some kind of levity. I think they were better about it here, and I also think that the comedy that they had, it was a bit darker. It felt like because the characters are fucked up, and because like Rachel Weisz is like experimenting on like pigs and stuff, like her like making the pig not able to breathe, like it's like that. This is like it's humor, but it's a bit more fucked up than usual.
Yeah.
And I kind of think I respected
shows, like,
that.
The dysfunctional family kind of.
Yeah. We really gotta watch the Brendan Fraser mummy movies because I refuse to believe that's the same.
It's her, motherfucker. It is her.
It's Rachel Weisz. For someone, for someone who's a big Mummy fan, you seem to have a really hard time remembering who was in it. She
definitely has had plastic surgery.
No, listen, you're probably remembering the later ones because she got recast after the second one.
No, I know that, but like, I don't know, man.
It's her, dude.
I know it is, but like, she's not like the same.
Yeah, no. But I see, that's why I feel like it's an 8 for me. It's just because the rest of her family was more interesting than her. I feel like in this whole movie. Oh my god, what are you looking at? Like before and after or some shit? But yeah, I feel like that's why it's an 8 for me. It's just because like the main character was kind of the least interesting character out of the supporting cast. So that's why I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 for sure. Are you like reading? What are you looking up?
Sorry, I was trying to find comparison photos. She's definitely had work done. The point is, she's definitely had work done.
I don't know. She doesn't. It just looks like she got older.
Oh my god.
No, she's definitely had work.
That's fine. I don't give a shit. She looks beautiful either way, before and after.
Point is, she was good in this movie.
Yeah, she's good.
But yeah,
what about this one from? I think this is from the second one.
Oh, she's still dead.
Oh my god. Really?
Yeah.
How many times have you thought about making a podcast? You've got a solid idea, tons of enthusiasm, and co-hosts whom you have good chemistry with. But how often do those ideas end up going nowhere? Where should you host it? Where will you have the best reach? How do you start making money? These are some of the barriers that keep people like you from pulling the trigger and starting a podcast. It should be easier. And thankfully, it can be. Anchor is a completely free hosting platform for podcasts. You can upload files yourself and even record and edit with Anchor's creation tools right from your phone or computer. Best of all, Anchor distributes your podcast to every podcasting hub imaginable, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or some you probably haven't even heard of. You can make money doing what you love with no minimum listenership required. It hardly gets any easier than this. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I mean,
no, if you look, I have nothing against Bill getting work done. I'm just saying she's had work done, is the thing. If you look at her now, you can definitely tell that she has like unnatural like facial features for her age.
I think Botox it tightens this.
That's what I'm talking about. Like exactly, it's Botox. Yeah. Point. Okay, moving on.
Loki. How long have we been going in post?
We're like an hour and a half.
Hour and a half?
Yeah, we could do it.
You just want to do a quick Loki thing.
I feel like the biggest thing is going to be the ending because that's going to be the most like defining thing of it.
Loki overall enjoyed it.
Awesome.
It's very incesty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that considered incest? It's yourself.
In a way, I guess.
I don't know if that's
it'd be like being into your identical twin.
Pro and con.
I feel like it's even worse than incest because it's 100% genetically correct.
Right, but except splitting the X and Y chromosomes.
Yeah.
So pro and con. Pro, Loki is confirmed bisexual. That was the writer made a point of saying that she
gender fluid
since joining. Well, we'll get to that. Since joining the project,
alligator.
Since joining the project, she really wanted to, make that a thing with this with Loki. He's also gender fluid according to his file in the show's like opening or the show's credits.
Yeah.
It's just, here's the thing. For a character that is so like, queer within the comic realm of things and now, allegedly within the universe, it is strange that him and all his variants are that surprised that there is a female version of him.
Yeah.
Because you think that if he was that was a bit weird to me. That if he was gender fluid, that he would be that flabbergasted by the prospect of it, which is probably the only reason why he ended up in that weird incestual relationship.
Sure.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like part of it is also like when you it seems like most of the variants keep the same gender.
Yeah.
From what I can see.
Most of the time,
Right.
yeah.
Like, it seems like most of the they may be fucking alien or alligator. And
Yeah, right.
But it seems like the variants keep overall the same gender. So I feel like that's why it's a little bit more of like an anomaly, so to speak.
And but that's the thing. But that's why to make a note of it and to take pride in the fact that that character is gender fluid, it just kind of seems like an odd way to go about it. And I think they could have, at the very least, they could have gone about it in a different way.
Right. Well, because I feel like they weren't trying to make it that big of a thing, which is why they just put it in the file without saying it. Because in the comics, he's gender fluid. He said it in the comics because obviously he could fucking shapeshift.
You can change, but
Right.
yeah, but at that point,
Much
then
like my question to Ben in our D&D campaign about changelings.
right. But then at that point, it's like, what does gender really mean to Loki and all? And so why would it be like such a surprise? It's just because admittedly it was a funny line, but like episode 4 when he's with his other variants, it's like, have you ever met a female version of us? And it's like, sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
it's like, but why? Like, what's gender to like a Loki?
True, but I feel like you still have, even though you're a shapeshifter, generally you still have your true form.
Yeah.
So I feel like in that regard, I understand from
Yeah.
there. Because I feel like there's always like, yeah, he can shapeshift, but he's always back to Loki eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just seems like what you're describing as the Loki, doesn't need to be constrained at all by the idea of gender. But anyway, that's just I'm just happy he's bisexual. I'm glad they, and there are some people who, will be like, oh, they could have done more with it. It's like, listen, being bisexual is not just being gay with an asterisk. It means you're bisexual. So him ending up being in a romantic relationship with a female character doesn't bother me in the slightest.
Well, you see, we're going to get a little bit more into, I mean, I'm not going too deep into it, but I feel like my issue with that is, or my issue with like people being like, oh, they need to do more with that kind of stuff is like, but that's how you make it unnatural. In depending on what you're trying to do, obviously.
Well, depending on you, right?
That's what I mean. But like in a case like even like Supernatural is another one where they say Dean Winchester is bisexual, and they just have like kind of subtext and like here and there like things said that you're kind of like, oh, okay, like I get it.
Or
like Constantine being bisexual,
stuff like that. But it's like they don't like. It's not like they're gonna come out and be like, like a crazy love romance where he's fawning over another guy and like, oh, come do this to me kind of thing. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
I get it.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like when you go too far into it, then it feels forced at that point.
Yeah,
Especially with this whole thing especially with Loki, he's already been in the MCU the whole time. Then all of a sudden you're just gonna like throw him into it and then go like really deep into it.
To be fair,
that's where my
there is like some implication in Ragnarok that him and the Grandmaster like totally banged,
right? And
that's what I would say to them to be like.
And that's what I like. I personally like that more because I feel like you're normalizing it then because you're not making a big deal. You're just saying, yeah, you're a guy or a girl, whatever. I like do what I like to do. I personally like that because I don't like when they have to come out and force me to think something. It's like I got it, I understand it. You don't have to really like throw it in my face more. Just keep it normal because then when you start to make it like, when you start to go more deep into it, then you just feel like you're shoving it down the people's throat. Like, look at him, he's bisexual. Look at him.
Unless the point of the story is making a point about maybe the person's struggle.
Well, that's
with
what
their
I'm
identity.
saying. Yeah, if that's the point of the story, then I completely get it. But like in this situation, or even like Supernatural, that's not the point. So people are like, "Well, they should have did more." It's like
I think what a lot of people are asking is not necessarily for them to shoehorn something in with no consideration for context. I think it's because this show is so great and because a lot of especially a lot of the queer, Marvel community is really enjoying the show. I think there is something of just like, we know how great the show can be written. It just, it's like it'd be.
You good?
I'm hearing some weird noise.
I'm hiccuping.
Oh, okay.
I've never heard you hiccup. It's kind of
yeah.
scary.
I was shocked. It's like because it
I'm really hoping the mic can pick that up.
I hope so too. It like sounded like, I don't know. It sounded like a Pokemon.
Either like a Pokemon or like
We were watching Gundam, and there's a character named Rambaral,
and I was telling about a stupid Dynasty Warrior fucking
Dynasty Warriors
voice
Gundam
line that he did, and he's like, in the heat of battle, Rambaral forgot to fight.
Yeah,
God, it's fucking awful.
It sounds like a dog yelping.
Kind of like that, and sometimes it just sounds like a drop of water into like a bucket.
And then I'm like, where's the leak?
Yeah, where's the leak, ma'am? Maybe you sound like a Wookiee. All right.
I can't. Oh no, that's good.
Yeah,
you got it. You got the closest. That was really good. Okay. Anyway, Loki's cool. But
Kang was a bit iffy. At the end.
Kang,
I can't believe
we were
you guys
both
don't like Kang. All right, you got to give me the explanation.
Okay, I just think that when he opens his mouth, I hate the way he talks. I feel like I can't. I feel like he slurs half of his speech. When he's eating that fucking apple, I just want him to stop eating that goddamn apple. And it's the fact that I know that I'm going to have to see him again in an Ant-Man film, and probably in the next goddamn, in the first Fantastic Four movie. I just, something about his performance just really grated on me. And
Kang, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, sure, he's like a multi-dimensional god essentially, but at the same time, he's just a scientist from the years 3000 or whatever. Thinking about that angle of him just being a crazy scientist trying to do a world of good for his universe, he did a really good job about that. But from I can't talk because of hiccuping. But from the angle of him being like an all-knowing god, it didn't really work. So I feel, he really had to do like a very compromised crazy scientist to like god thing for it to work.
See, and that's another thing is I don't know exactly about that part. I'll give you that because that was a little bit more mysterious. Of like, okay, he's a scientist, but how does he know all of this shit?
Right.
I'll give you that one. I feel like that might be because, again, a variance. Maybe his variant has a different kind of fucking power or some shit. I don't know. But I feel like... So I really liked him personally. I feel like he played what he was trying to play very well. And I think the fact that you're angry about having to see him again is that you're thinking you're seeing the same one, which it's not.
I hope. And I mean, granted, they've managed to improve characters between iterations in the past, so...
Oh, yeah. Well, because that's the thing, is that this isn't Kang. Like, literally, this is not Kang. This is Nathaniel well,
also, he has Immortus, I believe, is the name that character would have in the comics by that point in his arc.
Yeah, it's literally not Kang. It's just a different version of Kang. Mm-hmm. So, or different multi-generational being that in one different universe is Kang. So it's like, that's why you're fucking hiccups.
Look,
dude.
man, I can't help it.
I know, they're just fucking throwing me the fuck off.
What? Someone let that dog out.
Yeah, right? So, let him out of the cage, please.
You gotta hold your breath for like 10 seconds.
Look, that doesn't actually work.
Yes, it does. Every time I drink a shit ton of water and then I hold my breath for 10 seconds.
You know what does actually work, though? A spoonful of sugar. I'm not lying. It's scientific fact.
That just sounds fucking awful.
Scientific fact.
Scientific.
If I had more water, I'd give it to you, and then you could do it. But you have to not breathe through your mouth. You have to drink some water, and then you have to like hold your breath for 10 seconds.
You have to hold it till you think you're gonna die.
You don't have any more whiskey or water, so you gotta. And I don't have any water, so you just gotta hold your breath for 10 seconds.
Yeah, or stop talking. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe exhale first, though, so then you can.
No, just even wait. He's going. Wait, give him a second. Thank you for this hiccup break. Brought to you by Mountain Dew. No, no.
If you hiccup in the middle of it, I feel like you should go an extra couple.
Yeah, no. I usually do 20 to 30
seconds.
Okay, hold on.
I do 20 to 30 seconds.
No, don't breathe in.
No, you breathe in. Yeah, no, that was good. You breathe in, and you keep it for like 20, 30 seconds. I want people in the comments to tell us, how do you guys stop hiccups? Because I'm thinking 20, 30 second rule. That's usually how I do it, and that shit stops. Dead air is great. I learned about all of this in radio in high school. I heard you want to keep as much dead air as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Nate's gonna be listening like, come on, guys.
He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh my God.
Talk about bump of chicken.
Are you counting still? How many seconds? What are you at, like 20? 22?
Oh, wow.
Okay, he's still
All right.
going.
He's still going. I don't know. I didn't like Loki as much as Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Holding your breath?
No, don't
30 seconds.
But you can't. Once you open it, you can't breathe through the mouth. You got to breathe through the nose.
Fuck, I know that was a rule. Shit.
What I do actually, I think that's part of it too, is that I build up the air. So you just went and stopped. I go and kind of keep inhaling a little bit more sometimes. Yeah, because that'll kind of just keep it at bay.
Keeps the bubbles down.
Yeah.
All right, I get it.
All right, point is, back to Loki.
I didn't like it as much as Falcon and Winter Soldier. I did like it more than WandaVision.
Oh, hell no.
I was talking to Frank about this. So I like them both for different reasons.
Okay.
I think Loki is better than WandaVision is that it offers new shit.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah. And it commits more to originality throughout.
That's what I was about. So Falcon and Winter Soldier, it feels like a natural evolution of what they were planning on doing with the Marvel Universe, but it still feels like just good old generic Marvel, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But Loki feels like, it's the next step in the entire Marvel Universe on what they're planning on doing. Yeah, it's a weird, wacky shit, even more than WandaVision. They're kind of planning what they're doing in the future. They're adding like new originality. That's why I think I like. Fuck, I can't say it. I was gonna say like Loki more, but I can't really say it. When it comes down to if I was like, fuck yeah, I want to watch a Marvel TV show, I feel like I'd watch Falcon and Winter Soldier. But if I'm like, yeah, I want to fucking see some weird ass, cool new Marvel TV show shit, Loki.
And I think the reason for that for me is that, and a lot of I've seen video essays about it recently. Loki as a show feels like everything that I've wanted from Doctor Who for a while, but I haven't been able to get, because newer Doctor Who, ever since Chris Chibnall took over as the showrunner, hasn't been that good, which is unfortunate since, we finally had a female doctor and then Chibnall fucked it up. So it's just nice to see a return to that kind of like really out there and like off-kilter science fiction. Right. And I think that if anything, I would have liked it if maybe they did some more, if the season had been longer, if they did some more episodic stuff.
Well, it's supposed to be 12 episodes.
Well, I mean, I guess that's why the second season is happening.
Exactly.
I was hoping for more like time cop shit, like the one revealed he was DB Cooper. I was like, oh fuck, I'm in this. But
that was when I saw that, I was like, that's fucking great.
But then they didn't do anything with that. I was like,
well, and I will say, I feel like I was hoping for more like Mobius and Loki at it again, and we only got like maybe an episode of that.
Oh, but hey, some of the footage from the trailers wasn't in the first season, so I think they've already shot and filmed everything.
Well, that's what I think they might start doing now, is that obviously now Loki's going to have to go undercover and pretend that he's part of the TVA with Mobius, because Mobius like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because now he's all the Kang universe thing. So it's like, I have a feeling he's going to have to go undercover, work as partners with Mobius, and then like go from there. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we might get more of that in the second season.
Yeah. But how cool is it that this is finally the first Marvel TV show to have a confirmed second season? Because all the other ones don't feel like they're meant to have sequels.
Well, right, that's the thing, though, is I feel like the only reason that is because all of them were not meant to have second seasons.
Well, right, exactly. So
that's what surprised me. I was completely blindsided by that.
And Loki is the longest one, too. Even if they were to make it like one whole season, it would have been the longest one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed Loki, and I'm really surprised you actually didn't like Jonathan Majors. I actually really liked him.
I'm sure that I'll get used to him, or if there's another performance. That last episode, and I don't even think it was necessarily like I was like, I'm ready for anything. Give me whoever this is gonna be. I just was expecting someone. I don't know.
I was expecting another Loki, to be fair.
Well, that's the thing, is they basically did the exact theory that I thought, but instead of making Loki, they just made it Nathaniel Reeves.
I really just I don't know, it's just something about the way he talked and the way he acted, just something about it just annoyed me.
I think he did it well. I feel like he was kind of like weird and strange and kind of like whatever, but I feel like he did that on purpose, because you have to think This is a guy who's literally controlling the whole timeline. He's realistically just a fucking guy.
Yeah.
And he's just like somehow has fucking knowledge of everything that's going to happen. So I feel like he really played, to me, he played like weird, quirky, like knowing all, but I'm just a fucking dude guy pretty well.
I'll give you that one.
And
yeah.
especially when it got to the point where he's like, when everything like got to the point, he's like, that was the breakthrough. He's like, I have no idea what's going to happen from now on. Like when that happened, I was like, I really like him. I feel like he did it well because then he's just sitting there. Like you saw him in the background as they're like having the talk. He's like looking. He's like, okay. He's like, this is like a fucking reality TV show.
I do think that maybe there was an element of where like they were intent, because I really hated him, but maybe that was also the intention, because Sylvie is also like there just seething because there's just this asshole who just evading her vengeance just by virtue of technology beyond her control,
Well,
and she
yeah,
just wants revenge, and
that's
he's
the
just
thing.
like belittling her rage and like her entirely justified desire for vengeance.
And I get it. And that's the thing, is that they that's why I really liked this final episode, is because each main character, Sylvie and Loki, understood both. They were basically the audience. They understood both sides. Because I understood both sides. I understand like where like, yeah, she's, you know, obviously she's racist, she wants to kill this guy, but I understood the opposite side is like he's literally the necessary evil of the universe right now, or at least of the timeline. Like without him, like, yeah, he's doing fucked up shit, but if you think about it, if he's not doing that fucked up shit, there's other more fucked up shit that's going to happen. Possibly like multiversal destruction. So it's like, that's where I was like kind of on both sides, where it's like, yeah, he's kind of playing it off, but as a guy who has to do fucked up shit because he's a normal guy, you have to kind of, you know, you have to kind of kill those emotions in a way.
Yeah.
So I feel like he played that well, where he's like, he understands what he's doing is fucked up, but he's been doing it for so long that he's like, sorry, this is just what it is. I have to keep the timeline pure. So that's why I feel like he just played it so well that I really did enjoy it. So fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm really excited for more. I really think he's going to do good as Kang. I don't think Kang is going to be this.
I was trying to spook you to get rid of the hiccups.
I didn't. Oh fuck! I was like, I didn't hear one.
Shit.
But yeah, I don't think Kang's going to be the same as him. Although I do think I think I've heard Kang. Kind of sounds like a frog sometimes. I do think I've heard that King is like kind of like a comedic time traveler guy, so I don't know if they're gonna try to keep him the same, but as far as I know, he's not. So
Right.
Or at least not exactly the same. So I don't know. I feel like I like him.
Cool
That's all I
show.
can say.
Cool
Good,
show.
great show. I really like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10. You know what? Fuck. I'm gonna get.
Solid 8.5. Solid.
I'm trying to think of what my downsides to the show, like what I had gripes with.
See, I was trying to avoid giving it an 8 because I didn't want to give it the same score as Black Widow for the sake of originality. But I think rating it in terms of the TV shows exclusively, I think 8 is fair. Like, I didn't like it as much as Falcon, but I did like it more than WandaVision. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
I gotta give WandaVision, Loki. They're pretty equal for me personally.
I think I might give Loki either a 9 or 10. I don't really have too many gripes with it overall.
Yeah.
Personally. Like, I'm trying to even think of a gripe I can say right now, and I really can't even think of one.
Same.
So that's the only reason I'm like, I personally think I might give it a 10, but I'm only saying 9 because I feel like there is something that I don't like about it.
Also, the music by Natalie Holt was really good. Whenever they did the, like, previously on Loki, the music was always great. It always got me hyped. It kind of reminded me of the music from The Witcher, with like the bagpipes and everything,
right.
And like or maybe it was like hurdy-gurdy, I don't know.
No
But the instrumental was awesome, and it was like a mixture of like sci-fi, like synth and like traditional like English instrumental. There was some other stuff I liked about the music. Oh yeah, I liked just the aesthetic of the TVA, the inspirations from like Blade Runner and like Brazil and other sci-fi stories.
Yeah, I really liked it because it also like kind of made you think of like the government, like the DMV. Like, it had a mixture of both. Like, it was, like, so bland looking, but then also so grand.
And there's, like, just the investigations. I like that he's, like, it's like a Colin said, time cop shit. And then also, we got an excuse to have Loki in, like, a nice suit and tie for an entire show. Awesome. Is that it?
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like that should be it.
I think we're nearing the end of our rope here. New episodes. Thank you very much for listening this week.
I like how we were like, you know what, like, fuck it. This would be a short episode. This is probably
this is the longest episode in a while.
As Frank would always say, fuck it. New episodes every Monday at 10 a.m. Central Time, and then the episodes go up on YouTube a week later, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Links in the description, as well as links to places where you can see all the stuff I write. And follow us on Twitter at the Crit Spectrum, and on Instagram. Like and comment. Let us know how you battle hiccups.
Yeah, honestly, I actually do want to know, how do you guys battle hiccups?
How do you guys battle hiccups?
Because obviously my fucking planned.
I blame it on the fact that we didn't have water.
I blame it on the fact that he didn't hold his breath good enough. Yep, that was his response.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.